financial decisions for themselves and for their families. And we know a 50 plus group, it's a lot of transition those times, right? And we have to think about the second half of our lives and prepare for that. We're going to talk today with Sue McQueen. But just a little bit more about purse strings. We're really about empowering women and providing them freedom. And the reason I say freedom is because we say, it doesn't matter if you have a little bit of money or a lot of money. Money is freedom, and women really need to know how to manage their money and how to take charge of their money. So often, Maggie and I have done the research, the focus groups for years and years and years, and we've heard consistently the kind of the messaging that I don't do that, my husband pays the bills, he makes all the financial decisions. And the concern about that is, something we talked about this month, which was widows. The average age of a widow is, what is it, ladies?
59.
59, that's young. 59. And we were just recently talking about making sure, every woman has their will, their POAs, power of attorneys, and healthcare power of attorneys, because, second half of our lives, we need to get things organized and in order and in formation. So that's what we're going to talk today about with Sue McQueen. So we bring financial experts like Sue to the table to help women. Specifically today, we're talking about topics that are for 50 plus, but any woman can really gain information and insight on what to do to really get your financial documentation in order, or in formation, as we like to say this morning. And moreover, it's that Purse Strings provides free online tools and resources and access to these amazing financial professionals who know how to serve a female market, want to serve a female market, and know what women want when they're dealing with their financial professionals. What's the other thing we've heard consistently, Maggie, about women when they're dealing with financial professionals?
Don't even look at me.
Right. They don't even look at me. Oh my gosh, if we had a dime for every time we heard that, they don't even look at me, just in conversation. And I said, could you imagine going to the grocery store or going to buy, a winter coat or something, and the person you're dealing with doesn't even look at you, and you're handing them your money? And in financial professionals, you're handing them your nest egg much of the time, and they're not even going to look at you and acknowledge you. Well, that all stops with Purse Strings, because Purse Strings does provide women financial professionals like Sue McQueen, like I said, who are available to answer your questions, help you with your finances, savings for retirement, answering all those questions. And today, Sue's going to talk about getting your documentation information.
It's awesome. We're so excited to have you here, Sue.
Thank you.
And let's remind everyone where you're tuning in from today.
I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area.
Oh, nice and warm. Nice and warm.
Rainy today, though.
I think it's going to rain here, too. So I guess we're all having some rain.
Yeah.
And for anyone jumping on, always welcome to ask any questions. Please jump in. No question's a stupid question. We're here for you. So please feel free to ask in the comments. I have those up. And we're so excited for everyone who's here today. I know everyone's busy, so I think I'll introduce Sue and we can just kind of get at it.
Sounds great.
All right, so this is Sue. She helps educate women about their financial options for building and protecting wealth and help them create customized strategies so they navigate retirement planning and other important life events. She wants workable solutions to personal finance challenge and educate them about their options for building and protecting wealth. She works closely with her clients to help create strategies for navigating retirement planning and important life events. And so Sue is through Primerica, and we are so excited you are here today.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, I'm going to kick Barb off here, and we're going to kind of just dive into our conversation today about, it's called information. And so we want to have everything that we have in line. And so let's just start with why we need paperwork in line. I mean, what is this all about?
Yeah, so, several reasons. Number one is it's very important that women be on top of their finances. Many times with married couples, the husband handles the finances and the wife is fine with that, and just God, just let him take care of that. But it's important that you know what you have, and at a very minimum, you know where to go in case something happens. Because let's face it, the older we get, the more of a chance that you're going to have to handle the finances at some point. 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce. And statistically, women live longer than men. So chances are at some point you're going to have to handle the finances if you don't already do it. And if you are the one that handles the finances, then your spouse needs to know. And if you're single, you still need to have all this together, and you need to let somebody know where all of this is in case something happens, because it's not always about, someone dying, your spouse dying or something. They could get hurt in an accident and be incapacitated, or maybe have a stroke or a heart attack, even dementia, things like that. So you want to be in a position that if something happens to the person that is in charge of all of that, you're able to jump in, or at least you're able to go to where everything is, so that it doesn't become a financial nightmare when something happens.
Definitely. And I always kind of laugh because, some of this is still paperwork. They're still old fashioned with the paperwork. Can't be online. And if it is online, all on your phone, you're going to need to know someone's phone password at some point. Otherwise, you're taking their body and their finger to scan their finger or show their face, because that's the only way you can log in these days. And so even I know some people who use like LastPass and things like that will put that main password in this binder as well. So even all your accounts people have access to. So you're not just taking someone's phone and like hovering their face over it to unlock it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, again, if you're married, you even at that point have to have someone else outside of the household know where all of this stuff is. Because, God forbid you both get killed in a car accident or something, then what happens? And like I said, if you're single, you need to let someone know out of the household where all of this is, because if something happens to you, they got to know where to go, where to get all of this stuff, where to retrieve all of this stuff, because that's going to be their inheritance, or maybe they have to take over your financial affairs because you're incapacitated or whatever. So it's very important. Single, married, doesn't matter. Have all that together and let people know where to go.
Definitely. And before we dive into all the paperwork, where should this pile be stored?
Okay, so that's going to be, really more of a personal metal fire resistant box that I keep everything in. So, and I can lock that and it's safe. Hopefully will protect everything if there is a fire. You may have a safe that you want to keep it in, and you might just want to keep it in a file cabinet, or you might just want to put everything together in a notebook. So it really is, the most important thing is that it be all together and that somebody know where to go to get it. But I like the extra protection of having it in something that's fire resistant or fireproof. You could even, keep it at a safe deposit box at a bank if you, feel more comfortable with that. Just know that, things are going to change. You're going to have to be updating it a lot. So if you're keeping it in a safe deposit box, that's going to require a lot of trips back and forth and all of that kind of stuff.
Definitely. I recently bought a container, a folder, because I wanted something thin because I like to travel. So I bought something thin that's fireproof, waterproof, big Velcros. It was about $20. So I put all my paperwork there and then back into the underwear drawer. Mm-hmm. But I know that, if there's a fire, I can grab it. If someone comes in, I know exactly where it is. My passport's in there in case anything happens, which has been awesome. So yeah, I didn't want a big lockbox because I like to bounce around, but definitely it's nice to have that protection, especially if we've had floods lately, we've had buildings fall, we've had fires. So, you'd rather just be safe than sorry.
Yes, exactly. And if you have it all in one thing that's portable, should there be a fire or something and you have to evacuate quickly, hopefully it's, within reach that you can grab it and take it with you. Obviously, don't risk your life, but if it's all in one thing that you can just pick up and carry, that makes it better too.
Exactly. So, okay. So what do we put in this magical folder?
Okay. So yeah, and that's going to vary from person to person because not everybody has the same things and stuff. But some of the, the main things, of course, is you want to definitely have all the information on retirement accounts. So if you have 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, all that kind of stuff. If you have any pension benefits, information on that. And of course, you want to have information on all of your bank accounts, checking accounts, savings accounts, if you have any CDs or anything like that, and any other investment accounts. So, probably an easy way to do is just have like a statement from each account, just so it's easily available that the bank or the financial institution where the investment or account is, and you have the account numbers and all of that kind of stuff. You can also just keep a list, with all of that information. I find it easier just to print off a page from a statement and keep them all together. But, it's whatever works for everybody else. But the important thing is that your loved ones or you, if you have to take over the finances, you're able to easily put your hands on what you have. And of course, that can have to be updated often if you are opening, closing accounts and things like that.
Definitely. I think we could share, though, that you don't have to put every new statement in there. If you're not changing banks, you just put that old statement in there. The account number stays the same. The file stays the same. So it's not something that you have to consistently update unless you do change providers or accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. So the key thing is to have the name of the financial institution and the account number. So those are the main things that you want to have on there. You don't have to put a new statement in every month or anything like that. Other documents that you want to have: wills, trusts, powers of attorney, all of that kind of stuff. You want to have all of that in there. So in the event that those documents are needed or, something happens, you can easily get your hands on those.
I have a silly question on that one.
Uh-huh.
Can you hole punch those in a binder, or do they have to stay like a clean copy for all of us who love to use 3D binders?
So if it's like an original will, that's eventually may have to be filed with the probate court. So you don't want to punch holes in that. You want to keep it intact, and it should be like in a sealed envelope. If it's a copy of a will, which I would recommend that you have in here, is a copy of the will. You can hole punch that. You can do whatever you want. Same, powers of attorney, all of that kind of stuff. So if in doubt, make a copy and punch the holes in the copy and keep the originals intact.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Other things, insurance policies, life insurance, it's very important. So many life insurance policies are never collected on because the family doesn't know there was a policy, or I know she had a policy, but I don't know who it was with. Can't find the policy, and so it's never collected on. So that's very important to have your insurance policy in there. So in the event that there is a death, you're able to make that claim and make it quickly. And of course, if there's other insurance, automobile insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, all of that kind of stuff. Again, not so much important to have the full policy, but to have who you're insured with, so that you have the agent, you have the company, you have your policy numbers, all of that kind of stuff together. Some other things, deeds to any real estate or any property, those are important. Have those in there. Titles to automobiles or anything like that. So anything that's kind of like ownership papers on anything, anything of significant value, you want to keep those in there as well. Your passport's another important thing to keep in there. And then you want to get into more of your debts. And especially, if there's a chance you're going to have to take over the finances, you need to know who your liabilities are, who you have to send a check to every month, and so forth. So you want to have in there information on any loans, mortgages, auto loans, anything like that. A list of like all your credit cards, the companies, the accounts, all of that kind of stuff. Again, you could also put in, just a copy of a statement for all of those, or a page of a statement. Again, the important thing being the company and the account number. All of the utilities that you pay every month, so that where all that's got to go. You have all of your account numbers, all of that kind of stuff.
That would save me just being organized every
right.
month.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so much we do online. You touched on this earlier. So all of our accounts are online. We pay our bills online. We do all of that. And that's all fine. But make sure everybody has your logins and passwords. So maybe just put a cheat sheet in there that, here's my logins, passwords to all of these accounts and all of that kind of stuff. Because it does no good to keep it digitally if nobody can get into that if something happens to you. So
right.
It's a good thing to have all of that listed. And another thing would be Social Security numbers. You may need those in the event of something happening and so forth. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Again, that's going to vary. Not everybody's going to have all of those things. There may be other things that other people have. So just really anything related to your finances, you want to make sure you've got it organized together and in there together.
Definitely. I just found my birth certificate and now I added that, which has been great.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to have all those in one spot, especially even if I need to go and use them. If, I was getting insurance and they want these titles to my car, I know to go to that folder, which is awesome. Yeah. Super helpful to be organized. Crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It makes it so much easier to find something instead of having to look in 12 different places and then like, oh, well, I know I put it somewhere. What'd I do with it?
Exactly. It seems like we want to always make sure that, the person kind of that we live with knows this, or our closest loved one. Mm-hmm. But then someone who's outside of the house, just in case everybody there was all together for some reason, if anything happened. And so even I was thinking, like, if we're all on vacation and you needed some odd number because you lost your passport or something, you could send someone to your house to look at that and have all that information there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, you bring up a good point. I know of people that, they're retired and they go off traveling for 3 or 4 months. So then they have a power of attorney that's back home handling all their finances. So that person then can go right in and they've got everything right there together and you don't have to worry about it. You can go out and enjoy your vacation, but that, your power of attorney has everything that they're going to need to be able to manage your finances while you're gone.
Definitely. Yeah. It's about having fun sometimes too. It's not always, about death, which is great.
Exactly.
So let me see if there's any other questions coming in.
Okay.
And this was a lot of great information just to get prepared.
Yeah.
That was awesome, Sue. And I've taken copious notes and written your whole list down. So, and some of them popped up and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And birth certificates, Maggie, good one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And just knowing that that's all in one location where if anything happens, you can just go to that is going to save you a world of heartache, I think, in the long run, should something happen. As I was saying, my husband and I are redoing all of this right now. And one of the questions they asked us, it's still outstanding, is what happens if you and your whole family perish? Where's everything going to go? And I'm like, and then they said, don't spend too much time thinking about it because it's never happened in our whole, doesn't typically happen, but it's just something they need to fill out. So boy, it's very thorough. They think of everything. Mm-hmm. So, having all these documents in a location, online and also in documentation, paper doc. I like, Maggie, what you have is an envelope. Some people have a metal fire-proof container that you can grab and run if you need to. So this is excellent information, and it's all about getting organized, right? It's almost like you have to put your 1 week, I'm getting all my documents in order. I'm going to put it in a file bin. I'm going to know, boom, it's done. I'm going to tell my people that's where it's at, and then you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're done. And you know what?
About it.
It's stuff. It's funny. It's like that took me 20 minutes, and I've been thinking about it for 5 years, right? It's one of those tasks, right? That really doesn't take a long time. It's just, knuckle down and getting it done and being like, phew, that was easy. Why didn't I do that 5 years ago?
Yeah. And it gives you peace of mind too, that hey, something happens, my family can go on,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, too
Definitely.
often, what happens is if you don't do that, then your family is scrambling.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
don't know what to do. And like you said about the life insurance policy, I had a friend whose husband died suddenly, and she knew something about a life insurance policy somewhere, and like the family went in and kind of ransacked the house and did find a policy, but she like wasn't sure where it was. They just found it, like tripped over it.
Yeah.
So and that's
I would hate all my
important to know.
money to go
I
to
know,
waste
it's
that I like
money.
saved for you, for to
Yeah.
support and have the whole process.
Yeah. So I've heard those stories as well. So yeah, thank you, Sue, for getting us organized, getting us information, and providing us all those documents that we should, just check, make sure we have, they're updated, they're filed. Somebody, a trusted individual, family members knows where they're filed. And that way we can sleep easy at night and travel away and not have to think twice about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sue. Here at Purse Strings, if we're not talking about money, then we're not learning about money. And we love to share these, these triumphs. We call these even a financial triumph, even though it's not even having to do with that much money. It's still very much about your finances. So we'd love to share everyone's triumph. If anyone wants to post a picture of them in their folder, get it all together. We are down to congratulate you and party on. If you have any other questions, please reach out to Sue or Purse Strings. You can always reach Sue at smcqueen@primerica.com. She's also one of our Purse Strings approved professionals, so you can check her out on our site, pursestrings.co. And we will put out a one-page handout with a list of all the items Sue mentioned and next steps you might want to take, like making a folder for you to download. So you can just put that in your folder as well to make sure that you have everything in there that you need. So thank you again, Sue, for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. And we'll be back here again next Monday for another Money Monday. So until then, we'll see everyone later.
Bye, Sue. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.